Hi all, this is Shovik, and today's topic of discussion is how you will estimate user stories. So why do we even estimate in the first place? So we estimate to arrive at a shared understanding among the team members, to manage perceptions, to set clear expectations with the stakeholders or the product owner. We estimate to organize the product backlog, based on value and effort, enable PO to prioritize and maximize the business value. We estimate to plan the upcoming work to enable team to establish realistic goals and commitments, right? So normally, normally in Scrum, it is recommended to estimate user stories using the story points. Again, it is not mandated by anyone. It is just a best practice that Scrum Master and coaches follow or preach. So there are teams, even I know there are teams who use hourly estimation, few of them use idle day estimation, t-shirt sizing, and even there are teams who believe in no estimates. So, maybe we can park this discussion aside for now and focus on story point. Yeah. So story points are a relative measurement of the size of the user story, right? Like story points prevent an exact commitment on time, allowing for the uncertainty that comes with a lot of development work. So team has to keep in mind that complexity, uncertainties or risk, and the overall effort to complete the story when assigning it an estimate in story points. With the emphasis here on the team, the whole agile team is involved in estimation. So it's not like say Scrum Master or a PO or some senior developer is giving the estimates or directing the team to give an estimate. It's the complete understanding of the team, and the estimate should come from each and everyone who is part of a Scrum team, right? So now, what are story points? Like story points are units, that allows team to measure the overall effort to complete user story to the team's definition of done. So points are just unit of measures for expressing the overall size of the user story. In fact, the raw value we assign to each story is unimportant. Like few of them use the linear numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or few of them use the Fibonacci series. Few of them use the modified Fibonacci series. Some use t-shirt sizing. So whatever you use, it doesn't matter. Like if you're just talking about estimation using a story point, it doesn't matter. So what matter most are the relative values. So there is no set formulas for defining the size of the story. Rather, a story point estimate is an incorporation of the amount of effort involved, the complexity of developing it and the risk involved in it. And it's quite natural that the team members are thinking their own speed and their own skills and their past knowledge at the back of their mind, like while giving the estimates. And this is a challenge that, and this challenge brings an importance of baselining a story point, like having a reference story and reference story point in place. So maybe let us understand this concept with an example. Yeah. Okay. So suppose there is a question: how long does it take to run to point A from a point B? So I may reach there in 30 minutes, right? Based on my speed or the way I practice. Yeah. But however, Usain Bolt, so I guess you all must be knowing Usain Bolt is the fastest man in the world. So he may take to reach from point A to point B in 10 minutes. So both of us here are doing their best performance, but the duration is different, right? So what if somebody comes and asks us, right, can you agree upon 20 minutes? Not possible, right? So now in the same example, let's ask a different question. How far is point A from point B? So both of us will immediately agree to the same point, which is say 2 kilometers, right? Or say 5 story points. So if you have noticed that the answer to the first question was subjective, the answer to the second was objective, right? Let's try it out. Try to understand the same concept with a different example. Consider a task of traveling from Bangalore to Chennai. So the duration of the travel depends on the mode of transport, right? Like think mode of transport as a technology, and the flight is taking 1 hour, the car may take 7 hours, right? Now, if you choose to travel by the road, your driver's experience, which also come into picture. So your driver experience, maybe you can think it as a skill set or the skill set of the developer, and the driver's route knowledge, maybe you can think it as a domain knowledge, domain knowledge of the developer, and which is required to reach on time, right, or deliver the feature or the whatever PBI the developer is working on time. And also the travel may get affected by weather or the road's condition. It may be foggy, or it's raining hard, or some construction is going on the road, or maybe you forget to refuel your car, and all the petrol pumps or some strike on that particular day. So there it is around, right? So think it as uncertainties or dependencies. And as we observed, the duration is dependent on multiple factors here, right? But the distance, which is approximately say 350 kilometers from Bangalore to Chennai, that remains constant and that doesn't change, right? So now replace the distance with the size. So in story point, in our practical Scrum ways of working, a story point can be the size, which remains constant. Size is easy to estimate, but not the duration, because duration depends on multiple factors. So it is very important for Agile team to separate estimates of size from estimates of duration. Story points are purely an estimates of the size. The estimate of duration is always a derived value, which is affected by uncertainty and the complexity of the work. Another aspect is that story points allow team members with different skill levels to communicate about and agree on estimate. Here comes the real benefit of a reference story or a baseline story. It's not only make the team members agree quickly, but also help the members to think relatively and get agreed on subsequent stories faster. It's not so much the number that matters, it is the shared understanding that matters. If we are estimating without creating shared understanding, we are missing out on the value, and the estimates will always be poor. So if our estimation process increase the level of shared understanding, our estimates won't necessarily be right, but they should be consistent. And the consistency is all we need, especially for establishing a stable velocity. So if we want better estimates, sorry, the power went off. So yeah, if we want better estimates, or at least more consistent estimates, our goal is not better estimating. It's more about shared understanding. The question now becomes is how do we create more of a shared understanding among the team? So here comes the Scrum Master in the picture. So Scrum Master can help here, right? How he can help? He can introduce, planning poker or some good facilitation techniques to make sure that this happens. The discussion between the team members, the discussion between the PO and the team members, the introverts also chip in and ask all relevant questions. All the questions are answered. So the Scrum Master can use his own facilitation skills and introduce new techniques to have a good refinement meeting, which helps the team to estimate properly, or have a common good shared understanding of each of the PPIs. Yeah. So the important point to understand here is that story point, which in turn determine the value of velocity, is a great equalizer, right? It does not matter if estimates are correct or incorrect. What matters the most is that they are consistent. Now, to summarize this topic, I would like to mention a quote by John Van Neumann. So, there is no sense in being precise when you don't even know what you are talking about, right? So, this reminds me that expending more time and effort to arrive at an estimate does not necessarily increase the accuracy of the estimates. The amount of effort goes into estimation should be determined by the purpose of that estimate. Hi again. So the second part of today's topic is why user story are not estimated in hours. So first of all, 1 hour in developer's time doesn't equal to 1 hour of delivery time. Do you agree to this point? So there can be many other work to take into an account too. You have to plan for it. Suppose whenever you take any user story or any work to do, you have to plan for it, you have to think about it, talk about it, and then develop it. It requires translations, learnings, education, and also not to forget the rollout efforts, right? So all in all, it's a complex venture. Say now, if your team estimates in hours, there's a chance of having a lot of discussions based on the seniority or the skills of the developers doing the job. So for you, it's a 1 day, but for me, it will be at least three. And last but not the least, people normally get caught up on time estimations. So you said it will be done in a week. So what are you doing here, working on the same thing on the second week, right? Like it makes people pressurized. Estimating in time is easily taken as a guarantee rather than an estimation. It put unwanted pressure on the people, and I hope I'm making sense here, right? So that's the reason we estimate the effort in story points, and the story points do not equal time. Therefore, it should not be converted to just hours. Unlike us, story points don't take in account the skill level or the experience of the developer with that type of work, and even the mood of the person. How is the mood of the person on that particular day or that particular week when he's actually taking up the work. Story point is directly affected by the complexity and the other factors. And to give a few examples, maybe think about the dependencies, risk, uncertainties, testing, whether you do unit testing, automated testing, the repetitiveness of the work, criticality, and there can be many more. So what do we estimate then? Right? What do we estimate? We estimate the complexity of the whole solution up until we reach the definition of done. And this definition of done is defined by the Scrum team itself, right? So let's break it down with an example. So we all know, right? In India, Diwali is a major festival, and Diwali is coming up, right? And in a month's time, it will be there. So Diwali is coming up, and you want to get your house painted. So you have a bunch of say 10 by 10 walls that needs to be painted. So you called a company A, and they use ours. So now they have come and they survey, and the guy who came for the survey that day says that okay, it should take around half an hour per wall. Okay, so let's estimate your price. So now when the time comes for the actual painting, they sent a guy who takes around 45 minutes to paint, per wall. This guy was newly recruited by the company, and he's still under an intern. So it's taking him more time than the usual painter does. So now, to make sure that he delivers within the time estimated, he started cutting corners. He is compromising with the quality, right? So it's like they never really had a set baseline. They just threw it in the wind, and whoever showed up had to meet that exact number of hours, the commitment which was actually given by someone else to get this work done, right? Now say I go to company B who do story points, right? So what does it's as a 1 point to paint a 10 by 10 wall. So now say one of the wall has a big window in it, and it has a light switch, and also say a mural art which need to be kept intact. So while painting this particular wall, these things need to be taped around, paint it with care and remove the tames when it's done. So this that takes double the amount of effort when painting a when it takes double the amount of effort than painting a plain wall. So that will be a 2 pointer. So they give estimate based on that. They give 25 points. Okay, so okay, 25 points, not bad. But what does that mean? I still want a deadline, right? Like I want to know by when my house will get painted. I want to know when I can expect to receive something that I have paid for. Yeah. But the business that use agile processes like company B painting here, so they have intuitive timetable based on their past projects that they have done, or they know how many points they can handle in a work week. So that's something we call velocity in our Scrum teams, right? Say this company can handle 25 points per week, so they can say that okay, all the house will be painted by a week. It can be done in a week's time. So another reason to not use hourly estimation is because it promotes some diminishing behaviors and characteristics. To name a few, it promotes micromanagement, it instills a fear of failure among the developers, it creates dependency on the individuals, and there are many more, right? Uh, okay, so I hope I haven't confused you and you found this the examples that I've quoted to be helpful. So this is actually a topic, on which I can talk for hours. The reason being, whenever I join a new team, I have to go through the sessions on a story point and estimation, and this is an area which actually confuses even the seasoned and experienced Scrum masters and even the teams working on Agile from a long time. Yeah. So if you're still unsure about using story points over hours, just give it a try. I'll say just give it a try, and I'll assure you that the only story you are going to tell everyone in future is about how successful your team, your product, and your organization is. Okay. Thanks for listening. Cheers.